everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you all so very much for joining me. So unfortunately I didn't really do a whole lot of filming for this particular part, but this past weekend Jonathan and I went hunting with Tucker. Jax is getting very close to hunting. He's not quite there yet, but he's super close, so stick around for that. But anyway, we were able to go out and get a couple of squirrels. It was kind of a slow day, so I really didn't film a whole lot, but we were able to harvest 5. So I am going to try a new recipe. It's kind of similar to the squirrel and dumplings that I did last year, but this actually is a recipe from anybody who's an outdoorsman and is from the state of Kentucky. You probably know of Tim Farmer. He's the former host of Kentucky Afield. This is a recipe that they actually did on Kentucky Afield, so I want to try it for us. So for starters, go ahead and put in my squirrel legs. Again, this is from 5 squirrels. Fill that up. Next, I'm going to add in a can of chicken broth. Alright. Then I want to add some water, just enough to cover everything. Alright, I'm also going to add in some celery. That's 2 stalks. Probably too many carrots. Add in some baby carrots. And 1 onion. And again, you want to put just enough water to cover it. Next, we're going to add in 3 chicken bouillon cubes. Another one. And another one. Then we're going to add a can of cream of celery soup. You can also do this with cream of mushroom soup. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of mushrooms, so we're going to use cream of celery soup. All right, give it a quick stir, mix everything up, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this on a crock pot, and depending on when you're planning on eating, I want this to be done relatively quickly, so I am going to go ahead and set this to high. We'll let this heat up. The first goal here is to get the squirrel so that it kind of falls off the bone. Again, depending on how long how big the squirrels were, may take quite a while, but you want to go ahead and leave it in here until the squirrel falls off the bone. I know you guys have seen me use the Instant Pot for this. Works the same way. Ultimately would probably make this process a little bit faster. However, I wanted to follow the instructions directly from Tim Farmer's recipe. Yeah. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get this heated up. The ultimate goal is we're going to make it a gravy. We're going to serve this over mashed potatoes a little bit later. So, see you in a minute. I am here today to ask you for a favor. My wife and I have discussed it, and we've decided that if I am able to make it to 1,000 subscribers, that I am allowed to buy a new fishing kayak. I'm going to trick this thing out. We're talking pedal drive, kayak crate, everything you can think of. I'm gonna trick this thing out. So in that case, I need your help. So if you could share this content with anybody you think might enjoy it, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. As of the time I'm editing this video, right here is where we are currently. So if you guys could help me out, I'd greatly appreciate it. So once I get my new kayak, I am going to do a giveaway as not only celebration of getting the new kayak, but also for reaching 1,000 subscribers, I am going to give away my first fishing kayak, the gray one, and it's going to include the outriggers, it's going to include the kayak crate, it's going to include all of the updates that I made to it. So I will be doing that giveaway. Again, if you guys could help me reach this goal by the end of this year, I'd greatly appreciate it. Anyway, let's get back to the video. All right, y'all. Well, it is actually the next day. I spent quite a bit of time cooking this. So what we need to do now is go through, grab all of our squirrel legs, and pull the meat off the bone. This process is a little tedious, so I'm gonna take a minute here, but go ahead and try to get all the pieces out. Moving forward, if I did this recipe again, this is proving to be more difficult than I expected it to be. But if I were to do this recipe again, I would cook the squirrel in the Instant Pot first, then take the bones off, then put it in here. I just feel like it would have worked a lot better. Because now what I have to do is go through and get all of the bones out of this, which is not exactly easy. Alright, now through the power of television, I have all of my squirrel meat separated out. I'm just going to do a quick once over here, just to make sure I got as many of the bones out as I possibly could. Some of these squirrels were pretty small, so there are a lot of small little bones that they're pretty easy to miss. So I'm just going to go through this again, shred it up a little bit more, and see if I can't get any bones. Then I'm going to add it right back in. Calling that good enough. Now we're going to add back in my meat. And give it a stir. When it's a little bit closer to dinner time, we will go through here and we will add some stuff to thicken this up. Then we'll be eating it over top of mashed potatoes. So, see you in a minute. All right, everybody, it has been about, it's been a couple hours at this point. So what I'm gonna do now is I need to thicken this. Now it's already kind of thick, however, I wanna turn this into a gravy. So in this bowl, I have about half a cup of warm water. I'm gonna add some flour. Now, I will say in the original recipe, it does call for using a seasoned flour. I've added a lot of seasonings into this, but what I'm gonna do, just create a slurry here. Make sure it's all nice and incorporated. Probably put a little bit too much flour in this, if I'm being completely honest, but make a little bit of a slurry. And once I do that, I'll pour it in here, give it a nice stir, and that should thicken things up nicely into a gravy. And again, this is going to be eaten on top of mashed potatoes, so I'm going to go ahead and add this in. Give it a little stir, and that should start to thicken up nicely. Now, a couple of things I would do a little bit differently if I made this recipe again. Number one, I would probably cut the carrots and celery up into a little bit smaller pieces. But either way, and I think I already mentioned this, but I would also cook the squirrel in the pressure cooker first. And before I add it in here, I'm worried I missed a couple bones. Either way, Laura should be getting off work here shortly. She'll be heading on her way home. So once she gets home, we'll heat up the mashed potatoes and we'll get to eat. I'll let you know how it is. You're beautiful.
I'm just glad you made dinner.
I know, right? All right, y'all. So this is the final product. For whatever reason, it didn't thicken up. I don't really know why, but it didn't really thicken up. It's on a bed of mashed potatoes. Yes, I cheated. I did not make my own mashed potatoes. Bob Evans for the win. But so far, you've had a couple bites. What do you think?
Pretty good.
You had any of the meat?
Yes.
It's good. You don't know it's squirrel.
Thank God.
Absolutely delicious. That being said, there are a few things I would do differently if I do this again. Number one, I'd cook the squirrel in the in the pressure cooker first. Bitch and dog. I'll be right back. You gonna go outside? You rang the bell, that means you go outside. Go. You rang the bell, that means you go outside. Get a puppy, they said. It'll be fun, they said.
Who said?
Your mom. I'm blaming your mom. I would definitely cook the squirrel in the Instant Pot first. It took forever, number one. And number two, it kind of made getting the meat out to separate it from the bone kind of difficult. I got to figure out why it didn't thicken up. And once I figure that out, I'll fix that as well. If I figure it out before I post this video, I'll add a little addendum here. But that's going to be it. I want to thank you all so very much for watching. You have an absolute wonderful rest of your day. If you're getting ready to go to bed, you have a good night's sleep. I'll see you on the next one. We're going to have to figure out a whole bunch of squirrel recipes here, because I'm hoping we're going to have an overabundance in the next year.